Hello, and we're back. Before we start, right? What do I have to tell you guys? Make sure you smash that like button, hit subscribe, ding the bell. That way I can become a YouTube star. And then you can be like, oh, I know her. I mean, people know like Mr. Beast and stuff, right? He's from around here. How do you think he started? Telling people to smash that like button. Probably not making videos about science. That's alright though. Alright, so we're going to talk about something very, very, very briefly. It's the idea of something called succession. Success, that's the way you spell success. Shut up. That's fair. That's a fair comment. Okay. But we're not talking about success, even though the word is literally in there. Succession, when I think of it, I think of like the kings, like in who would succeed the king or come next. So like, oh, the king's about to die. Who's going to become the next king? Is it his brother? Did he have a son? Is there nobody around? And so we have to find the next line of succession. So we have to trace ancestry and all this other stuff. That's also called succession. So it's like who comes next in line? Well, that's like this picture and what I'm going to show you. Succession is the gradual change of an ecosystem over time from nothing to like a full forest. So we can go into tons and tons of detail, but I'm going to be very quick about it. Hope. I'm going to try. I know sometimes I talk. And sometimes I don't say anything. All right. So let's kind of go over this idea. Actually, we'll look at this and then we'll kind of come back to this picture. So succession can either be primary or secondary. Primary succession happens when you have new land colonized for the first time. So you can imagine you have a volcano that kind of grows out of the ocean, lava forms, and maybe the volcano kind of stops being active. So we have this bare rock with nothing on it. Well, some creatures are going to colonize that area, and they're going to transform the rock into soil, and then they're going to grow, and it's going to leave room for like new things like grasses and weeds, and then like small bushes and shrubs, and then trees, and then animals and bugs and birds. So that's succession, sort of like these steps that happen in the changing of an ecosystem. And then there's secondary succession, which that happens after like a fire or a landslide or some kind of disaster destroys like whatever habitats and like kind of mini ecosystem was there. And then the plants and animals recolonize that land and take it back. So secondary succession will actually happen quicker than primary succession because there's already like soil. It's probably not just bare rock, probably. So there's already like, seeds and stuff in the area. So the colonization happens faster. It's not that fast. Let me go back here. There we go. So let's take a look at like primary succession and think about it and kind of look at the steps that happen. So you have this bare rock face. Well, I can't grow a plant or grass or a flower in just rock. I need dirt. So certain creatures will come in and they actually weather, which means break down the rock. The first things that come in a lot of time are like lichen. We talked about lichen there, a symbiotic relationship. There's an algae and a fungus that live together. The algae provides food and the fungus provides like a handhold for the two of them to like stick to and a little bit of protection. So they will actually latch on to bare rock. And just by being there, they end up slowly breaking that rock down and making a really, really, really thin, really fine soil that something like this moss can grow in. Remember, moss is non-vascular, so they're going to stay really small so they don't have a huge root system, so they can grow in really, really, really thin soil. But the moss there, as they grow, they are also going to enrich the soil and break it down. You'll have bacteria that'll be growing and breaking down any moss that dies and making the soil more nutrient rich. Then you can have small little things like grasses and weeds that can grow in this soil. And then you could have, and that will invite some little buggies and things to come live there and worms. Then you'll have like bushes and shrubs and weeds. And then you might have some birds that come and find a place, or maybe they get blown over to this island in a storm. And they're like, hey, this place is great. There's bugs and stuff here, and there's places for me to live. and there's no predators, so I'm going to grow and be here. So you'll see small creatures living here. And then you'll see the forest kind of grow and grow and grow. And mammals and reptiles and amphibians will come in, and bigger insects, and maybe even some larger predators can come in and find habitats there. This process can take like thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Secondary succession might not take as long. You'll have your dirt already there, like if there is a fire, you'll have dirt. In fact, here's an interesting factoid. There are some plants whose seeds don't open until they're exposed to fire. And so fires will come through and the seeds will then activate so that this process can start again. But you'll have some grasses and weeds growing, you'll have insects return. Then you'll have some little pine trees start growing. You can see it. You can't see out my window clearly, but you can see that kind of growth and change just in our campus, like right near the edge of the forest. You'll see where they don't mow the lawn. You'll start seeing some like pine trees start popping up. There might even be some. Oh yeah, like the top of our hill that's over there that like we used to run up and down and stuff. Remember being outside? Remember sports and stuff? I remember those days, sort of. But you can see these pine saplings. So they haven't really been destroyed in a couple of years. So eventually, like if we didn't mow there or change anything, you start to see a little pine forest. Um, gonna take some time. Might be out of school by then. I might be done working by then, maybe. Yeah, maybe I'd be able to retire by then. But to get a forest back, like let's say there was a forest here and a fire just completely destroyed it, it can take like 150 years. That's why deforestation can be really, really, really bad. That's why we need to plant trees. That's why it's so important if we cut down a forest for timber, for logs, for toilet paper, for whatever, that we replant, because it takes a longer than our lifetime to regrow a forest from where there was nothing. That's why people get on about planting trees and why we should. So I hope that helps you understand about succession. It's just the change of an environment from sometimes nothing to a full-fledged forest, for example. And remember that primary succession happens in a bare rock type area, and secondary succession happens after something like a fire or a disaster. All right, I hope that helps. I think it was short enough. Hopefully it was short enough for you. All right, bye.